Have you ever heard about animals like dinosaur or mammoth? Well, if you does, then you might only seen them on television or through pictures. And of course, you're probably aware that they are extinct. And in this video, our group Earthrope will present about endangered species, defend the wild, or disappoint a child. In this video, our group Earthrope are going to show the issue of extinction faced by our two highlighted animals, which are Sumantran rhinoceros and leatherback sea turtles. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what is endangered species? Endangered species is a species that considered to be facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild, and the two main reasons that have high contributions are loss of habitat and genetic variation. So why is it important to us and why should we know about it? This is because the extinction rate has increased over the last century, and we can assume that humans are the one to blame because humans has increased species extinction rate and therefore attributed to animals' habitat loss. Next, I'm going to talk about Sumantran rhinoceros. Sumantran rhinoceros is the smallest living rhino species. Unfortunately, it is now officially extinct in Malaysia and leaving only a tiny population in Indonesia with less than 80 number recorded. It is also known as hairy rhinoceros or Asian two-horned rhinoceros. The Sumantran rhino is the most endangered of all rhinoceros species due to its rapid rate of decline. Because of poaching, numbers have decreased drastically, more than 70% over the 20 years. The species were declared extinct in the wild on mainland Malaysia in 2015 and Malaysia Borneo in 2019. Next, the second animal that we chose is leatherback sea turtles. Leatherback sea turtles, who are family known among the Malays as penyu belimbing, declared as critically endangered species in Malaysia. In the early 1950s, there were about 10,000 of them landed on the beach. However, due to irresponsible visitors doing illegal activities on them, causing the numbers of them decrease drastically. In addition to that, in Malaysia, the landing and nesting site for leatherback sea turtles are at Rantau Abang Terengganu and few in East Malaysia. Next, I'm going to highlight about recent cases that occurred in Malaysia for Sumatra rhinoceros species. According to National Geographic Asia article, last Sumatra rhinoceros in Malaysia dies. Therefore, it is now officially extinct in Malaysia. Unfortunately, despite multiple actions were taken in order to protect the species, the last species recorded named Iman died because of cancer in 2019. The saddest part is less than 80 numbers are left all in Indonesia. Therefore, the number of Sumatran rhinoceros has dropped estimated 70% in the past 2 decades. And we can assume that mostly due to poaching and no strict action were taken immediately, causing the species to extinct faster. In addition to that, the problem is because of genetically. This is because the females only gave birth every 3 to 5 years. Next, I'm going to mention second articles about leatherback sea turtles. The main article for the Asian Post stated that why are Malaysia's sea turtles disappearing? And in the article, they mentioned about the status of marine turtles in Malaysia is either endangered or critically endangered. Even though other species of turtles were mentioned, however, leatherback sea turtles population in Malaysia has declined by more than 99% ever since the 1960s. The main reason for the drastic decrease of the numbers of leatherback sea turtles is the same with the Sumatran rhinoceros. They are in the verge of extinction as illegal acts against them are highly practical among locals. In addition to that, common threats to these marine turtles include natural predators, pollution, as well as egg poaching. Even though these species can still be spotted during the nesting season, however, their population has declined tremendously over the years, with some of the species currently on the critically endangered list.
Hello and Assalamualaikum, my name is Shazwani and I'm going to talk about why do breeding do not help the extinction of animals, especially Sumatran rhinos and leatherback turtles. The main threats to sea turtles that result in extinction are egg poaching, trade, and consumption. The status of marine turtles in Malaysia is either endangered or critically endangered. Worldwide Fund for Nature (WWF) Malaysia states that the leatherback turtle population in Malaysia has declined by more than 99% since the 1960s. At unprotected beaches, poachers destroy more than 90% of sea turtles' nests to sell the eggs into the illegal wildlife trade. Local people and fishermen track the beaches at night for nesting turtles, and upon finding a nest, they immediately harvest all the eggs. This lack of a nationwide turtle egg ban puts marine turtle population further at risk. Focusing on Terengganu, an East Coast state without an egg ban, once hosted one of the world's largest nesting ground of leatherback turtles with 10,000 annual nesting in the early 1950s. 5 decades later, in 2006, not a single nesting was recorded. One of the efforts to stop egg poaching is the Investigate project. The Investigate project is an effort to reveal illegal trade networks and better understand what drives sea turtles egg poaching. Each egg contains a GPS transmitter set to ping the sunflower every hour, which would allow scientists to follow the investigator or the eggs on a smartphone app. This illegal trade network revealed that eggs are sold and consumed locally. The routes they discovered also suggest that most egg poachers in the area are individuals looking to make quick money, not an organized network. The egg poachers who pick up the investigator will be prosecuted. A new partnership called Sumantran Rhino Rescue aims to capture critically endangered Sumatran rhinoceros to reinvigorate a captive breeding program. Most experts agree that captive breeding is necessary to prevent extinction. The current plan focuses on capturing isolated animals in population too small to survive in the long term. However, female Sumatran rhinos living in isolation are particularly susceptible to reproductive problems, leading some experts to argue that it makes more sense to focus on capturing rhinos from healthier populations where rhinos are known to be breeding successfully. The Sumatran rhinos is facing reproductive problems. The biggest hurdle was that many of the females already had or quickly developed severe reproductive pathologies, including tumors, cysts, and cystic endometrial hyperplasia, which is abnormally thick lining of the uterus, and a propensity to lose fetuses even when able to get pregnant. In many ways, these reproductive problems explain why wild populations have collapsed over the last 4 decades. Low population sizes, few rhinos living closely together, and the isolation of viable habitats have combined with fatal consequences for Sumatran rhinos. If females don't regularly mate, they have a tendency to develop uterine cysts and growth. It was this that left Iman infertile. The lower a population becomes, the less successful individuals become at reproducing. Ultimately, this leads to an extinction vortex. That said, the breeding success of Sumatran rhinos in captivity is still isn't assured. There are 9 Sumatran rhinos currently in captivity, but only 1 pair of proven breeders. 6 of the captive rhinos are females, but only 1 has born children, which is Ratu. 3 appeal of incapable of breeding, Iman, Rosa, and Bina. 1 has yet to be tried, Pahu, while the last is still too young, Delilah. It took the program 17 years and dozens of rhinos to finally produce a baby.
My name is Nurfazi Izzati binti Samsu Anwar, and now we are going to see about the causes of endangered species. First of all, we must know that ecological solution is the response to disturbance of environment, and the stronger disturbance today are human activities. Here is some example of human activity that threaten biodiversity on local, regional, and global scale, which is hunting and pollution. First, we are going to talk about hunting. As we know that there are some people that have developed a habit of hunting for various type of animal just for fun and just for some competition, which has led to the decreasing in the population of this animal. Plus, there are many part of body in this animal such as their meat, fur, and other part that very valuable. Then we can see that people buying and selling the part of animal body to the huge black market. For the example, Sumatarinos. Since Sumatarinos have horn on their nose, there are some party consider the horn as the crucial ingredient in the Eastern medicine since for millennia. Here is an example of the picture that we should regret for not being able to protect these endangered animals. Next is pollution. Pollution is added of chemical, heat, and noise to the environment beyond its capacity to absorb them. This causes widespread harm to organisms. Plus, chemical pollutant can weaken leatherback turtle immune system and making them susceptible to disease. In addition, plastic, discard fishing gear, petroleum byproduct, and other debris can kill and harm leatherback turtle through ingestion and entanglement. Other than human activities, low reproductive rate is the one of causes of endangered species. This happens because the different species have a different reproductive rate and cycle. Plus, many species have to take time to become sexually active in order to produce offspring, which varies from the species to species. Usually, large animals have a slower reproductive rate, while the smaller species have the fast reproductive rate. Okay, here is the table how to differentiate between the K-selected and R-selected species. Here is our example animal, which is Sumantran rhinos. This animal is known as K-selected species. It is because this rhino is a large species and have slower reproductive rate. Like every 2.5 years to the 5 year, a female rhino will reproduce and female rhino will carry their young for a gestation period of 15 to 60 months. Plus, they also have a one baby or sometimes two baby at a time. In addition, this rhino also need a bigger space to reproduce and live in. Here is our second example animal is leatherback turtle. This turtle have really long lifespan, which is they can live longer for 45 years until 50 years or more. That show us that this turtle is the K-selected species. But this turtle is also R-selected species because they have a ton of babies, but they don't stick around to take care of them. So this turtle is both R-selective and K-selective species.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Adla binti Rosli and I'm going to explain about the effects of endangered species. So the first one is the destruction of habitat. It is defined as the alteration or elimination of the environment necessary for animal to survive. It makes a natural habitat become unable to support its local species. The organisms that previously inhabited the site are displaced or dead, consequently decreasing the biodiversity and species abundance. It is also one of the massive dangers confronting by animals. Either of human activity or a natural disaster strikes, habitat loss altogether affects fish. Animals depend on their habitat to survive, so any damage can cause them to die. For this reason, habitat destruction is now ranked as the primary cause of the species extinction worldwide. Human activity often changes or destroys the habitats that animals need to survive. Because human populations are growing so fast, animals and plants are disappearing 1,000 times faster than they have in the past 65 million years. Scientists also estimate that in the 21st century, 100 species will become extinct every day. Next, for the example, the first one is the habitat of Sumantran rhino. Sumantran rhino being lost or degraded by invasive species, road construction, and also encouragement for agricultural expansion. The second one is the habitat of the leatherback sea turtle. It is depend on beach for nesting, sea level rise, exploitation by humans for eggs and meat, loss of nesting from uncontrolled coastal development, and also vehicle traffic on beach have directly destroyed sea turtle nesting beaches around the world. The second one is the effect of the endangered species toward economy in tourism sector. As what we know, animal is one of the famous attraction for tourists. Countries that can provide rare types of animal can often gain huge amount of money with many touristic activities. However, if certain animal species become extinct, this country will suffer from economic effects alongside with not able to maintain their country rank as the tourism attraction. As the result, tourists may not come to their country anymore after the animal vanish.
Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Muhammad Rani Firdaus, and for this group, I want to present the ways to overcome the endangered species from extinction. The thing to do for the now bill in protecting these species is implementation of laws and regulations for poaching endangered species and destroying their habitat. To do all the enforcement, stakeholders involving government, public, industries, and communities should have responsibility. Financial support is the most important thing in order to facilitate them to succeed their program of rescuing these endangered species. We can give donations to education that establish sanctuaries and rehabilitation centers. Next, by giving voluntary assistance, also is a sign of our support for them. Voluntary assistance can increase the workforce for these educations for the outcome of more organized and well-done programs. This is the example of educations in Malaysia that protect endangered species. Educations, the key to saving Malaysia's endangered wildlife lies in educating the local communities as to the value of their wildlife, both in the forest and in the seas around the extensive coast. People should be encouraged to inform against wildlife crime. Campaigns should also be held to open the minds of the community on the importance of these endangered species in ecosystem balance. Visual education should be more prominent, such as videos and documentary programs related to these endangered.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Fatin Hadira binti Harun, and today I'm going to conclude about the study of our topic, which is endangered species. So, in conclusion, the topic of endangered species has become the most hotly debated topic this lately, as it represents the world's behavior towards the creatures of nature. As human beings, we must have the awareness of the critical environment that happen in our circle. One of them is the extinction of endangered species such as Sumantran rhino and the Leatherback sea turtles that has led to many untoward circumstances. Generally, we must take a really good care of our animals, especially the endangered ones, because they are dying out day by day. This is really disappointing because we are at risk of losing those precious animals. There are many causes from widely aspects that influence this problem to occur, such as human activity, low reproduction rate, and also climate change that relate to the bad economy, destruction of habitat that was proven that this is the major cause among other causes, and it also will affect their biodiversity as well. This problem can be measured by taking fast actions, such as we must play our roles to be more involved in this problem by supporting the wildlife parks and also get higher fines to those irresponsible persons. Otherwise, we can be more firm towards those immoral parties spread out their activities on social media platforms so that people will acknowledge their behavior and indirectly will make them realize that their actions are wrong. Furthermore, we can educate people on this topic and tell them the effect towards the nature because of the reluctantness of saving this unlucky species. Last but not least, it is very important to take this as a serious matter because extinction is a natural process that might happen with or without humans. In that situation, we must reduce the probability of that incident by doing our part in preserving and conserving endangered species so that our future kids will not recognize about those animals only by reading books or surfing the internet, but also can visit them at the wildlife parks and can experience to see them in eyes too. That's all from us. Thank you.